Welcome to Cinemacabre. This is WKNC's new horror podcast. I'm Natalya, otherwise known as DJ Roxy.
I am Mason Baker, also known as DJ Crush.
And I'm Sean, also known as Lead Pipe.
So to get us kicked off today, we kind of wanted to just go around and lay the foundations for our experience with horror, what we like about it, some things we kind of don't like about it, and just let you, the lovely viewers at home, get a feel for us as your devilish hosts.
Yeah, and get to know us. We're still all getting to know each other. Somehow we all ended up in this room to record about horror. So it's kind of like, how do we get here?
One fateful elevator ride.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like The Shining.
It's just like The Shining.
With less
we are just
blood.
like The Shining.
And also, what's that movie? Devil?
I don't know.
The elevator horror movie?
There's an elevator horror movie?
Yeah. Wow, we're really showing just how much we
No.
know about the medium.
This
We're
is going to
gonna-
be every episode is us going like, have you seen that? No.
Well, that's like how we come up with like what else to watch.
so
You
true.
know, like it's kind of about a journey. Like we're not really like teaching people. It's just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like it's
If
fun.
you are coming
We're
to this
definitely not the
podcast
authority.
to get like a better understanding of the horror medium, you are at the wrong podcast.
I think we are the authority though. Like
Are we?
all of our opinions are 100%
I
fact.
think we are about to be.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Okay.
Truly.
I've prepped a few questions to just kind of get things going with the podcast and really set the stage for like this journey ahead of us. So I have 10 and we'll see how many we can get through in our episode length. But starting off, we got the classic. What's your favorite scary movie?
You can
Oh, I go
can-
first.
you can take us away,
Oh
Natalya.
gosh.
Yeah.
My favorite movie is Ginger Snaps. It's I think from the year 2000s Canadian horror movie about a girl getting her period and becoming a werewolf and wreaking havoc on a bunch of people in town. I love it. It's iconic.
Well, I guess kind of what elements of it do you like?
Oh, I mean, I guess I could say like I did like a women and gender studies class and I found a way to incorporate it into it because we had a unit on women on and monstrosity.
Ooh.
And I found that and it was like so women and so monstrosity. I like for my final I had to make a comic, like draw a comic out of like one of the scenes.
Ooh.
Yeah. I probably have it somewhere. It's not that good, but I don't know. I just
Lovely.
like have that connection to it since I had to spend so much time looking at it over and over again. And now anytime I'm sad, I watch it.
All right, Sean, you want to go next?
Mine. I'm a bit of a basic B.
Mhm.
My favorite horror movie is The Shining. I watched it super late because I watched it for a class last year. I took a horror film class, and obviously that was shown. And just the visual elements, the actors, it's just a like kind of the archetype movie for me, for like a
Mhm.
horror movie. All right, DJ Crush.
So this is something that I guarantee you I'm going to mention in just about every single episode that we film of this lovely podcast of ours. My favorite horror movie is truly the love of my life, It Follows. Because, not even because it itself is the perfect movie. I can level a decent amount of critiques against it. But it truly encapsulates everything I love about modern horror. It is excruciatingly atmospheric. It is so cleverly shot. It was done on like a shoestring budget and still is chef's kiss.
It's a super effective horror movie.
Yes, extremely effective.
I remember it very fondly. And yeah, we're definitely gonna mention it in our next episode.
Absolutely.
Specifically.
Oh,
So, and I hope that we find a way to fit in our favorite movies into this next question. I just wanted everyone to describe your journey into the horror genre. Like, what got you into it? do you have any like earliest memories with horror, and like what kind of brought you into this room today? Like, do you want to go back around?
We can
start
go
with
the other
Mason?
direction. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll go ahead and get started. In kind of preparing for this podcast, I penned myself as the horror lover who hates horror of the podcast.
Our scaredy cat.
Our scaredy cat. The medical term, little coward.
Diagnosed coward.
Diagnosed coward. But from a young age, I have always just been kind of fascinated with the supernatural and the macabre. So one of my earliest memories is I was at my dearest friend Nick's house. Hope he's doing well. And Teen Wolf was on the screen. And we looked up on YouTube how to become a werewolf rituals.
Did they work?
Do you... We're not allowed to give medical advice on this podcast.
I mean, you don't have to drop the tutorial, but like, did you become a werewolf?
Mystical advice, though.
No, unfortunately not.
Aw.
But I feel like that was kind of my catalyst moment on just being a little weird kid, which has now led me into horror as we know it.
All right, I will take it from there. I think it all kind of started on like the various cartoon channels that I was obsessed with as a kid. Probably still am a little bit too much. But probably my first exposure was Courage the Cowardly Dog.
It's a great one.
It's
terrifying.
It's genuinely scary even now.
Return
I don't know.
the slab,
I was gonna
or suffer my curse.
I was so close to saying that, but I didn't want to just do it.
Just out of nowhere as you're dogging.
Return the slab. Yeah, but every episode, Dr. Demento, I mean, whenever they do any like non-traditional animation in it, it was like claymation or anything like that. It was always so terrifying.
It's jarring.
Extremely.
It is, but it was still so like fun to watch as a kid, and I was a scared kid. Like I nightlight until I was too old, so I don't know how I really latched onto it, but it was kind of like it was like cathartic in a way to enjoy something that was scary instead of being scared by it.
Yeah.
Right, Natalya?
Oh, okay. Well, I have like my whole life to span right now. So like we talked about this a little bit before, but like around like Halloween, the way that like Disney and Cartoon Network would do like Halloween events, I didn't grow up with cable, so the only time I like got to like watch Cartoon Network was whenever like for my grandfather's birthday we'd go to the mountains and Cartoon Network would be on, but it would be scary Cartoon Network. So like Scooby-Doo Zombie Island terrified me as a kid.
Classic.
Or like there's like this episode of Billy and Mandy where like this like giant alien like sucks up everyone's brains, and that like freaked me out as a kid.
Yeah, Billy and Mandy had a weird dichotomy of like comedy and horror. Obviously, like the premise is, if anybody doesn't know, it's like the Grim Reaper hangs out with two kids.
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah.
You know,
If you're the Grim Reaper.
of course. So, kind of going back to the, like you said about Scooby-Doo, very brief tangent. I promise I will cut myself off. Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, the Hex Girls.
Ooh, iconic.
Number one
So-
influence for me.
So cute.
If you ever want to know what I look like in real life, just imagine a fourth Hex Girl.
So like, yeah, Cartoon Network being terrifying. I actually remember my first nightmare. It was after I watched Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet the Wolfman.
Oh, I used to be obsessed
It
with that.
terrified me.
I'm like very quickly realizing I have an uncomfortable amount of like wolf-related childhood stories.
You should really watch Ginger Snaps if you're such a big werewolf fan.
Because my favorite Goosebumps book was The Wolf of Fever Swamp. So
Mm.
maybe we're quickly realizing
oh yeah,
things.
Goosebumps. I kind of forgot, but like I loved reading those.
We're quickly realizing things about ourselves on this podcast.
But like my like more modern like horror interest, I was I kind of like got really into it around like that time, mostly like 2017, 2018, when just like a lot of really good horror was coming out, like
Mm-hmm.
kinds that like were making like general audiences be like,
Yeah.
horror can be good? Question
Mm.
mark. So like that's like when it Get Out, Hereditary,
Midsummer.
and it I mean Midsummer was like a year or two later, but like
Mhm.
I think like those three specifically like really made a lot of money and made people realize just like how good a horror movie can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched those and I was like, yeah, these are really good. But like I went back and tried to watch like the classics to like really start to like fill up like my horror registry of knowledge. And like I did like a horror research project on Halloween.
Mm.
So that just kind of like led me to keep watching horror, and I've liked to analyze them a lot now,
Mhm.
which is why I wanted to start this. Yeah. And I'm happy to be here. The next question I have is, what are your favorite genres or aspects in a horror movie? So like when you're watching, like what makes you be like, this movie's awesome?
All right. Well, I guess I would circle back to you.
Oh, me first again? Okay. Yeah, I can start that. Um I as I mentioned, I really like looking so deep into a horror movie. Like
Mhm.
even if it's like not like the scariest or like not like the most interesting thing, I'm like, what are they trying to do with this? And I like to see like the intention that the filmmakers put into it. So like practical effects. I
Mhm.
love like trying to see how they do their effects or like get like their shots like to work, especially in like some older movies that like are trying to do like supernatural things but like don't have the modern day effects to do it. And also like I'm a big fan of like queer and like feminist like subtext in them. Like it's always so fun to look into.
Mhm.
And probably like most of like the movies I would consider to be my favorites are all about like one person kind of going crazy, or like just like one person like going down like a path into horror in whatever way that means for them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, luckily for you, I say like we haven't already watched the movie we're gonna cover next time. We can talk a whole lot about that next episode. I'm teasing it a whole lot,
We're just so excited.
evidently.
Oh yeah, that is really about a person just
Mm-hmm.
woo going down the
Well,
shitter.
I gue-
That's probably not a good way to say it.
well,
Falling into madness.
probably. A downward spiral.
Yeah, but
There we
like
go.
a downward spiral with a body count.
So I guess I'll take this. I'm so sorry, Sean. So kind of the aspects that I really look for in horror are, one, I love atmosphere. Two, I love cinematography, which is strange considering I am really going to school for neither of those things. But how a shot is framed can convey so much by saying literally nothing. And kind of with this modern wave of quote unquote elevated horror, there are some gripes to have with that term, but I feel like it applies well enough. It is so clever in how each and every shot is put together to kind of build this mounting sense of dread that sometimes until the climax of the movie, and sometimes not at all, never gets paid off, which is what I really love about
Yeah.
it.
Like what all of those elements coming together like leaves you with.
Yeah, because I think the best thing that a piece of art can do in general is make you think once you stop watching it.
Yeah.
And that is like the number one key to that for me.
Mm-hmm. And I think horror, like especially, should be like the genre that sticks with you, just
Mhm.
that like makes you kind of scared to go to
Gives-
sleep that night.
Gives you new phobias.
Woo!
I think I might just have to reflect what you guys have been saying, because you guys have just described all of my favorite parts
Well,
of,
that's awesome.
of
then.
horror. I mean, you guys have covered like the absolute best aspects of it, because
Mhm.
when you're you said when you're left with left thinking, when you're left feeling a certain way after a horror movie, that movie, changed you a little bit.
All right, so I'm also going to steal your part, Natalia.
My part.
Kind of segueing on from the things that we really like about horror movies, let's talk about some things that we like less or would change about the genre in general.
Do you mind if I start this off?
Of course.
So, one thing that I forgot to say with the previous one, and this will lead into my least favorite parts of horror, but some gore is kind of sick.
Absolutely.
It's kind of fun to see what kind of nonsense they'll pull and how they'll pull it off.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not a big fan of excessive gore or violence in a movie, especially if it feels targeted towards something. There's a difference between horrifying you and just being ew, this seems targeted because that's a woman or something of the like.
It gets to a point of excess. It no longer becomes fun.
I feel you got to be a little bit tasteful with it, or if you're gonna go crazy, have it be the payoff to a whole movie, you know? Have either of you guys seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yep. Yes.
Yes? Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. You guys know that scene where they're they've gotten into the facility and they let all of the monsters out?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good payoff for
Very good.
excessive violence. That is awesome.
Because up until that point, that movie was not gore-free, but it was relatively tame.
Yeah, it was it's just the zombie hillbilly torture family, they're just targeting these college students, but seeing a whole facility get massacred, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But and I try to avoid movies that are more excessive, so I don't even have a good example of what would be. Well, actually, I have one. There's a scene in Terrifier where a woman gets sawed in half, and I don't want to watch that.
Vertically.
I'm not a fan of it.
I was gonna say, I feel like if your favorite movie is Terrifier, if your favorite horror movie, God forbid if your favorite movie is Terrifier, but we're probably not gonna review it. So
probably not.
Sorry.
Both for the sake of good taste and also for the sake of
Are you telling our audience that they have bad taste?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, we're actually the only ones with good taste.
You are so very valid.
Yeah, we have microphones and a podcast.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. Sean, would you like to answer?
Yes, I would love to. Again, I hate to piggyback off of you, but excessive gore. I'm a very squeamish person. If I could be a doctor, or if I was a doctor, I'd throw up every day. And so excessive gore is really too much for me, but that's more of a personal thing. I think what I really don't like is when that is all that's scary about your movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, and if your entire movie is jump scares, which both great tools in a horror movie, but they are not standalone aspects.
They've been used excessively.
Absolutely.
And people over-rely.
You almost get desensitized to it after a while if it's not built up. Because, a jump scare is only as scary as the energy that was placed before it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the Terrifier again. Any kind of, gross, God forbid, fecal horror. That's,
Ooh. Is that in that movie?
It's, I believe, the first one. Yeah.
Ooh, that's gross.
I don't want to describe what the clown does, but it's very gross.
I assume it has something to do with fecal matter.
Probably. Yeah. So, to piggyback off of that, my answer was also going to be jump scares. While there are elements that I definitely like about this movie, I think one of the biggest offenders in this category would be the movie Sinister.
You don't like Sinister?
No, I do like Sinister. But at a certain point, baby girl, we need to tone it down. Because it gets to a point where it's not even effective. It's just kind of annoying.
I'm trying to remember which jump scares you're talking about.
Sinister is a weird example because it builds up a lot in kind of the way that I like. but it also, the payoff happens too much to the point that it
Yeah.
feels,
It's almost exhausting to
Yeah.
have to keep experiencing over and over again.
Like those tapes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love those tapes.
those tapes are fun.
They're so cool. And it has Ethan Hawke. I love him.
For a second, I confused Ethan Hawke with Tony Hawk.
He's a pro skater in that movie. I think that movie would be fixed if like he could just skateboard with, I forgot the name of the demon in that.
The Grinch.
I don't think that's his name.
Well, I think that's a good segue into our next question.
believe so.
Well, I have one more thing that
Oh.
I would add.
Go ahead.
I have like notes written down, but like I don't read all of them whenever I'm answering. I'm just like, oh, these
fair.
ones are like what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
But like, one thing that really angers me when I watch a horror movie is when like all the character actions are just so stupid and like not believable,
Mhm.
and like you're just watching it, and it's like so frustrating to see them make all of the wrong decisions. Not even in like like they're like stressed way. Just like a no human person would do this. This is stupid.
Yeah.
That definitely brings down my enjoyment of a movie.
Absolutely.
To a certain extent, I understand it, because if everybody made the right decisions in a movie, then there would be no movie.
But like,
There has to be conflict.
it's scarier.
But especially, one thing that makes it extremely effective is somebody making the right decision and it's still not
Yeah.
working.
No, that's like the worst thing. It's like the hopelessness.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be hopeless in a horror movie.
Absolutely.
Cool.
If you're not, then that's just a drama.
Yeah, at that
Yeah,
point.
like then it's just boring. I'm like, oh no, you're sad, but it's like, oh no, you're sad and there's a monster.
Like, I guess-
scary.
I would probably fill this into like the horror thriller zone. Ready or Not.
That's a horror.
Basically,
Rich people are scary.
absolutely. The protagonist in that movie does literally just about everything and only ends up getting saved by a stroke of sheer luck at the end, which is like kind of an extremely terrifying thought. You can fight tooth and nail and still,
I mean, I think that one plays into the class aspect of it,
definitely.
where I don't know if she's like lower class or what, but she's definitely not wealthy.
She's not that.
Yeah, she's entering a very wealthy family,
Mhm.
and she only survives no matter how much she struggled, just because the rich people happen to be getting effed over
Yeah.
by something else.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's very reminiscent of like Parasite,
Definitely.
yeah.
and I can
That one I would
understand.
consider less of a horror, actually.
I would still say it falls into the horror category.
That one's,
It is
like
a
more
weird
of a
one.
thriller.
Yeah.
IMO. Less
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah, but there definitely is quite a bit.
Yeah,
Like
with
near the end.
the climax of the film.
yeah.
Sure.
But like, there's like a lot of movies with a lot of blood that like
That's fair.
that aren't horror.
Any like
Genres are a marketing tactic, anyways.
Yeah, they really are.
Horror is whatever we want to cover.
Horror
up
is
here.
whatever we decide is scary enough, or we just want to cover on the podcast. We'll just call it horror.
Yeah.
Which maybe some of these movies will be picked from this next question.
Segue.
Yeah. Here I'm asking, what scares you the most, and are there any movies that you're too afraid to watch because of that?
Okay, I will take this one first
Yeah.
because I have got two.
Awesome. I also have two.
I do not mess with spiders or eyes.
Okay.
that's a weird combination.
It really is. Well, spiders have a lot of eyes. Think
That's
about that.
true.
But not like
It's exponentially scarier when they're around.
not
Scary to the 8th power.
not things like with a lot of eyes, but eye
Torture.
Eye torture.
Mutilation.
yeah, like the
Mm.
movie Would You Rather. Love it.
Oh, the poster
I
is
have
like
to skip that scene.
no,
Because otherwise it makes me want to crawl out of my skin.
it's kind of like, and I hate to like bring my answer in here.
Co-opt my question.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. But like, if you're ever watching something where like someone's like hands are getting messed up and like, you like wince at it.
The other one was going to be fingernails.
Yeah. Oh God, no.
I don't do that.
But like, at least like if your hand, you can like hold it.
I can't hold my eyes.
But to watch the movie, your eyes have to be open, seeing them get hurt.
Oh, I didn't even think about like your instinct is just like
Just
rip
squeeze
your eyes closed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like
It makes my eyes hurt thinking
it's
about
scary.
it. Yeah.
That
and that one death, I cannot remember what Final Destination movie it is.
describe it.
So this lady is going in for some kind of optometry thing, probably I think to get LASIK, which
Ooh.
is something that I have a whole lot of experience with because I have very terrible eyes and have been considering getting LASIK.
Mhm.
And the optometrist leaves while she is like strapped down because they have to strap your head in so you don't move,
Yeah.
and then the laser starts going off. And then she finally manages to like wring herself out of it after getting her eye just real messed up. And then she slips and she is on a several-story tall building, falls out the window, crashes onto the floor below, and the final scene of her is her eye popping out
Ooh.
and then getting run over.
They ran over the eye?
Yeah. Final Destination is not a very good franchise.
I don't know. I kind of love like the
I'll talk about it more in a later question.
Okay. Sean, are there
I don't know if there's any I wouldn't be willing to watch. I'm definitely avoidant of the Saw movies just because of
Mhm.
my whole like gore thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's definitely like not my favorite aspect of horror. I think to kind of go more into the question of like what scares me the most, it would definitely have to be like an antagonist or a villain that is not bound to any reason or
Ooh.
like physical laws, if you feel me.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Like-
to quote perhaps the scariest line in all of horror, "Why are you doing this? Because you were home." Terrifying. I think I might have hit the nail on the head for Natalya's
Yeah, I
answer.
know. That is
But-
what I was gonna talk about a little bit. I think that my it's like so fun like realizing like how many of like our things are similar, because like if we ever like do decide to like cover like something that includes this, it's gonna be like I was so scared and we were all so terrified.
Mhm.
So I'm very afraid of home invasion movies.
Yeah.
So bringing up The Strangers terrifies me, and the fact that like they do all that horror just because you were home,
Yeah.
like no real reason. Like
Because
most of my comfort, like whenever I leave a horror movie, is that won't happen to me. Like
Mhm.
that was supernatural, or like I'm not gonna do something that like prompts this on me,
mhm.
but just like a random act of horror against me,
Yeah.
so scary.
Home invasion is probably the most realistic thing that could ever happen
Yeah,
because it does happen. Probably not to the extent of The Strangers.
yeah, but like why would they choose my home?
Yeah, because you were home.
No. But the other one I was gonna bring up was also gonna be like very like specific bodily mutilations, including eyes.
Yeah.
And the movie I wrote down that I actually really want to watch, but it kind of freaks me out, is Audition.
I have heard good things about it.
I've also heard good things about it, but I've also heard about the kind of torture that's in it, involving faces and needles and wires. And that kind of freaks me out. But I want to watch it.
So be prepared for a potential future episode, dear listeners.
Yeah. The next question I have for you guys is, what's your so bad it's good horror pick? And please elaborate why it's so bad it's good.
So mine, which is partially why I brought it up earlier, the Final Destination franchise. Because I am much like Sean, I don't like a lot of gore. It is certainly less Saw gory, but it's like, it's not exactly squeaky clean.
No, definitely not.
But I feel like the entire draw of those movies, much like the Saw franchise, is how increasingly elaborately and stupidly can we kill someone.
Definitely, yeah.
Which, in a kind of a hedonistic sense, I can certainly appreciate.
Like,
It-
you know that you're coming in for the kills, and
Yeah.
you're like, what's gonna happen this time?
Like, you don't go into any movies like Saw or like Final Destination being like, I'm gonna get really attached to these characters, because I guarantee you, with Saw most, with Final Destination, all of them will be dead by the end.
I feel like, I mean, the only difference I would say between those two is like Saw. It's like, how creative is Jigsaw gonna get today? What's he gonna decide to play with people's lives with?
Yeah, unless you're attached to Jigsaw himself, I think you should not get attached to any of the characters.
Yeah, unless like I really like the little puppet like Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Like he's
Yeah.
so cute.
Billy the Puppet.
His name's Billy?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a fake fan. I've only seen the
Ooh.
first movie.
This will lead me on a very brief tangent. I haven't actually seen the movie, but it is, in my opinion, extremely clever to set Saw 10 like following John Kramer as the protagonist, because that is kind of the main critique that's been leveled against that franchise, that like there's not really much of a plot.
No, they just keep giving him other reasons to be upset at people for like not taking their lives, or for taking their lives for granted.
Mm-hmm. Like that one dude in Saw 1 whose big crime, the thing that he was covered in flammable jelly for and made to walk across broken glass, was that he called out sick to work. Literally.
Honestly, I feel like
He's-
that would scare me out of calling out sick to work.
the executives were like, you
They're-
know what we should put in?
There was
It'd be
one.
really good to keep our morale high.
Jigsaw is so capitalist pilled, man. He's so
I guarantee you there was one employee who kept calling in, and they were like, we're gonna show you.
This is what happens to naughty employees who call out of work.
Literally one of the most like excruciating deaths in the franchise because he called out of work.
Hey, is that in the first movie you said?
Yes.
I
And,
think it gets a lot more excruciating.
I would say being poisoned, having to carry a tiny little tea light while covered in flammable liquid, and having to walk on broken glass to find a combination amid several combinations around the room is probably pretty bad.
There's someone who like, and like this might, so I know a little bit about the franchise, but like I haven't watched all of them. But like at some point there's like a fake Jigsaw.
Yeah.
That's like a poser.
Mark
so
Hoffman.
he gives like impossible things to like actually win. But like one of them has like hooks put through like their Achilles tendons
Yeah.
that they have to.
And his jaw.
Yeah,
You
like
can't just rip off your jaw
like-
and just be fine.
no, like that might be a little bit more
Yeah.
excruciating.
This is
No offense to that first guy.
another one of like my embarrassing to admit, one of the things I was very obsessed with as a child was Saw. I, to this day, have not watched a full Saw movie, but I could tell you every trap probably in order.
Really?
Yeah, because I was obsessed
That's
with them.
impressive.
It's really not.
No, it is. What are you talking about? That's
it's
so
impressive. It's weird though.
It's very strange.
Like, up to what movie? Because like if you were a kid, like a lot of them wouldn't have been out yet.
Probably up until Saw 3D.
Okay. If you could get to like Saw 7, sorry, not to put down your accomplishment, but like if you could get up to Saw 7, like I'd be like, oh my god.
I don't think I could tell you the ones in Jigs. Oh, I think I could tell you the ones in Jigsaw. I couldn't tell you the ones in Spiral, and I couldn't tell you the ones in 10.
Guess we gotta study up.
Evidently.
Just a whole whole Saw episode.
I mean, that'd be
We will probably do that.
yeah.
Counting how
I
many
will hate
times
every second of it.
counting how many times we throw up while binging 10 movies.
Yeah.
You just play them all at once,
Yeah. It's like
Perfect idea.
it's like layered on the screen.
Yeah.
or just like surround ourselves in monitors and just like spin in a circle.
That is
All right.
basically what Saw does.
All right, so I will take 1 through 4. Natalia will take.
Oh, you're taking the okay ones?
the good ones.
Yeah.
Well,
I see how it is.
I heard the newer. If I take the middle ones, I'll get the schlock, and you can get the newer ones, which are apparently
Yeah.
like people consider them really good now.
The newer
Really?
ones are
I've heard they were like just very average horror movies.
But he's back.
Spiral.
Oh my god.
Spiral and Jigsaw were both like pretty average. Apparently Saw 10 is actually quite good. All right. Well, So-
Sean, what's your least favorite? Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I sufficiently lied when I said that would be a short tangent. So Sean, what's your what's your least favorite?
What's your so bad it's good horror movie pick?
There we
Yes,
go.
that is the next question.
Yeah.
My favorite, so bad it's good, is arguably not horror at all. Actually, I might have two, but I would say my official favorite is probably the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That is
Ooh,
we
it's so
have
good.
we have
Love it.
an
There's
episode
a-
idea.
I think I
for-
found like a screening of it that's gonna happen on Halloween
Oh my
Yep,
gosh.
at the Rialto, I believe.
at the Rialto.
Where is that?
I think the one I saw was at Ruby Deluxe. Actually,
Might be that one. They have somebody in Raleigh is doing a shadow cast of it, which is
Cool.
how you should watch it
I wanna.
the first time. You should go to your local theater that is playing it. There are just people in lingerie. If you live near a university or a college,
I know
they are
UNC does one.
probably have it. I will be the one to start it here at NC State. The character that Tim Curry plays is like iconic.
Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky.
That's not Rocky. No, I
no.
lied.
Mr.
Dr.
Frankenfurter.
Frankenfurter. I'm sorry.
Rocky.
I'm sorry.
I'm here with a bunch
No,
of fake
no.
fans.
He plays Rocky Balboa.
Yeah. Okay. So we're lying.
Yeah, just in case you all didn't know, Rocky Balboa is in Rocky Horror Picture Show. He's the Rocky in the picture show.
Yeah.
I'm so silly.
Yeah. We are. This is a completely factual podcast.
Yeah, we are authorities on horror. And
We
if you
are
disagree,
so fact checked.
we are so DJ independent fact checkers.
They also. It is technically a double feature. There is a sequel. I've never
There's-
seen it.
I know there's a
why?
remake.
There is a sequel. It's called like High Voltage or something. We are. Our computer guy is on the.
Literally, can you fact check that for us? I
Yeah.
say as we are both typing it.
Cause like there's
It's
a
called shock treatment.
Shock treatment. Yep.
there's a sequel,
have not
not a
watched
sequel,
it.
a remake with Victoria Justice, so Victorious.
Who does she play?
That has gotta
Janet?
be really.
She-
Yeah,
She plays Rocky.
she is not Rocky.
She is Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta go. Don't watch it at your house. Go to like a live showing
Mhm.
because it is
Mhm.
clinically insane.
Isn't like a big part of live productions audience interaction?
Absolutely, it's
Yeah.
the callbacks.
Yeah.
You throw things on stage. Sometimes they'll let you have like water guns and stuff. Like, it's ridiculous.
Do you think they'd let me throw a dumbbell on stage?
No.
Like a foam one or like a real one? Can you
dumbbell?
throw a full dumbbell?
Do you think I can throw a full dumbbell?
I'm
Don't
not
answer that
obligated to
question.
answer that.
I need my lawyer present
Yeah.
before I answer these questions.
All right.
My so bad it's good horror pick. I also feel like is a bit of like I don't think this movie is actually bad. I just watched it with the wrong crowd. It's Reanimator,
Ooh, that's a good
which
one.
Reanimator I already know her.
Haha.
I think it's an 80s horror movie.
I think so.
And a lot of it is them like trying to figure out like how to have like their horror effects on a much lower budget.
Hmm.
And so watching it, it was just like so fun to like notice everything that's like, oh, obviously like that's not a real severed head that's talking, but like it's just so clever like how they find ways to shoot it to be able to depict that.
Hmm.
So like, you know, more low budget horror might not be as effective, but like I just love it as a movie. And I think the people I watched it with were just wrong. The movie was awesome.
I haven't. This is kind of going back to least favorite parts of the genre.
Mhm.
I do not like anything.
That's great.
I hate all things.
I hate horror movies. I do not like horror movies, or just movies in general for that matter, that go in knowing it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Because, like, kind of as the adage goes, the only true camp is unintentional camp.
You can't try to be camp.
There has
Like-
to be a labor of love given to that movie for it to have any kind of like pull.
Yeah.
Because if it's meant to be bad, like it's just another Sharknado
I was-
movie.
Like, we're not doing Sharknado 3.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like it has to if it's bad and you watch it and you can tell how much they put into it,
mhm.
then it's good.
like The Room, like any Neil Breen film, you know that they go into that and they're like, I'm going to make a masterpiece. And then that comes out of it. And I love that.
I don't think I've ever actually seen The Room.
There is always time.
I've only seen The Disaster Artist, which has one of my favorite actors, Josh Hutcherson, who's
Oh,
going to be in FNAF later this month.
from Trapped in the Island with Josh Hutcherson? That's a reference that maybe 2 people listening to this will get.
I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking
And
about.
Those people are not us.
And I will not elaborate
I just
further,
thought about like
so
the second
cool.
Hunger Games movie. There's an island in that.
if you know,
Yeah.
you know. And if you don't, you should know.
Okay, I'm sorry for not knowing.
Next question.
Next question. This one is, which horror character would be your dream role to play? And like this is kind of open to like villain, main character, just like anything in whatever movie or archetype.
I've got one. I
Let's
would
hear
want
it.
to be Erin from You're Next. I could not pull it off. Let me get that out there immediately. I could not pull this role off, but I would desperately want to be here because she is so cool. She is basically the nightmare of any home invader because she grew up on a survivalist compound, and like she's the final girl who just brutalizes them in the
Good.
latter half of the movie.
Girl boss.
Like
Slay.
she is so cool. I love her so much. She is one of my favorite horror characters ever. So I would die to play a role like that.
You want to be girl boss slay.
I want to be girl boss slay.
I feel like you can like
Emphasis on slay.
start like learning those survivalist skills to like become her.
To do it in real life.
I mean, you never know.
Boy Scouts, it helps.
Yeah.
Helps you. I will say that mine is a bit of a cliche, as most of my answers probably have been. But I would think it would be really funny if I was Patrick Bateman. Because I know you don't know what I look like, but I kind of just look like a white guy.
Can confirm.
Yeah. And beyond me just like loving that movie, like not in a, a white man kind of way, but
Not in a you are inspired
He's
by
just
Patrick
like me.
Bateman way.
no,
Not in that kind of way.
He's my inspiration.
I just think
Just like
that
me for real.
somebody losing their mind and not knowing if something is real or not is such a fun role because
Which
you basically have no baseline for your character.
unreliable
'Cause you-
narrator.
Exactly. So you like, even as an actor, I don't even know if they gave the actor like the true story. Like, is this what actually happened? So like, it is just what is going on in his head,
Mhm.
and I feel like maybe I live that every day. Maybe we all are. No, but
There's a little bit of Patrick Bateman in all of
Yeah.
us.
Absolutely.
it would also just be nice to be forced to get that jacked for a role.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
No, like getting that motivation. It'd probably be really hard to keep on though.
I'd assume
Yeah.
so.
Like when your job is to just work out all the
Because
time.
like the entire premise of the Patrick Bateman character is that he is ridiculous
he is ridiculous.
and like no real person could do.
I want
and
to put that
exist
cat
like
in that
that.
ATM machine.
Oh, I do actually have a secondary character that I
Okay.
just remembered. Kind of on the topic of not knowing if things are real. I would actually like to personally thank our dearest hostess, Natalya, for introducing me to this movie. Lily from Black Swan.
Yes.
Because
Oh
she
my
is
God.
so cool.
I didn't even think about Black Swan when I was brainstorming this.
You can steal my answer.
I'm not gonna steal your answer. I don't think I could pull off like I don't remember what Natalie Portman's character's name in that is. She's not Lily. Lily is Mila
Mila
Kunis.
Kunis. Yeah.
Also Ukrainian rep. Love her.
Also, star of hit movie American Psycho 2.
Ugh, no. That movie is just so bad. It's just bad.
With Lily, really everything that I love about her was embodied in the scene after, let's say, a steamy night home
Intimacy.
between two characters that didn't actually happen. When confronted about it, Lily's first and only reaction was I good?
Slay. I'd ask the
Love-
same thing.
Love her.
I also came up with 2 answers for this. My first one is I really want to be one of the zombies in The Last of Us.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Like their makeup effects and like the way they move.
Fierce.
I want to do that.
The acting would be fun, but would the prosthetics would really bother me.
I want to
Me too.
wear. I
For,
want
like,
to look at.
extended amount of
Actually,
time.
I don't know if they
Mhm.
have like if they can actually see themselves, but like, I would love to just like
get
see
in the character,
myself
they can't
like
see
that.
anything.
I'm like looking in the mirror and I'm like, whoa, I look cool.
I feel
That's
like
true.
I look infected.
I feel like that is something that you would have to do in one take, because God forbid you have to do that makeup twice.
I feel like I would love it.
I would hate it because, like, sometimes you hear, specifically in horror movies, because prosthetics are just such a big deal in it,
Mhm.
just how long it takes
Yeah.
to get into makeup every day. I would hate it because you just have to sit there.
Yeah, I could like put on some like some TV shows, movie.
Do you think they'd be mad at me if I just slept?
No, I'm sure people do it all the time.
Probably.
Practical effects are always worth it. I'm just gonna say that.
They are, and that's why I
definitely.
appreciate The Last of Us so much
Yeah.
for having all of them be practical.
Absolutely.
And like
Mhm.
just like the physical movement of them, it's
Yeah.
so cool.
And it's like actually restricted to what a person, like an infected person,
Yeah,
Yeah.
could do.
Mhm.
like I want to do that so bad. My like, if I could play a character role, I don't know. I feel like I could pull off Needy from Jennifer's Body.
Ooh.
Like I feel like if I was gonna be like a starring girl, that's who I would want to be.
I feel like I could honestly see you as either Needy or Jennifer.
Aw, thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna play both of them.
Yeah. Liv and Maddie. Like Liv and Maddie.
Just like Liv and Maddie.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny.
But one is you in like a very god awful blonde wig. Like Party City.
I have one of those
It's
actually.
not blonde, it's yellow.
Ooh.
So the
So,
next question.
The
if you
next question.
should take us away.
Our next question is, who's your favorite horror icon?
I
Rocky.
again. Which one?
Rocky.
Oh, okay.
And Bowinkle?
Out of pocket.
Sorry.
Right.
Wreck-It Ralph.
The big aliens from Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay, go.
I'm going to have to be another basic B again.
Mhm.
Jack Torrance from The Shining.
That's not basic.
I would say.
I wouldn't say it is, but like Jack Nicholson's acting in that movie is so ridiculous and I love it. Not
Mhm.
ridiculous in like a bad way, but like he's just so exaggerated and you're like, this dude
I'm scared.
is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And like just that movie alone is obviously, I've said at the top of this podcast, favorite horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'd go back and say I'd play Jack Nicholson's character because if he could just teach me how to make half those faces, I'd be happy.
Honestly. I mean, I don't know if that was the origin of it, but the Kubrick stare. Like,
Yeah.
that's just such an iconic part of that film.
Yeah. When he gets slid
Which-
like a whiskey and
Yeah.
he's just like looking at you like,
You all couldn't see that, but I just did my best attempt at the face, which
Can you do it again?
no,
Aw.
yeah, do it for the mic.
can't.
No, I was gonna say
actually.
for me because I didn't see it.
Sucks.
Aw. Who's your
Yes.
favorite horror icon, Mason?
Oh, that's a lovely question. Unfortunately, it's not named, so I can't say the character from It Follows. But the ST demon. Not actually.
No, it really
I
is
would
an
say-
SD demon.
In terms of sheer iconicness of design, Billy the Puppet.
Mm.
Amazing choice.
Truly.
He's so
like-
cute.
He really toes the line of like, I could kind of see that being cute, but also what
He does put people in traps.
I don't think Billy the Puppet does
No, but
that.
like he is he is John Kramer's persona. He's like, this is me. This is my little guy. He's gonna be my voice.
Billy the Puppet, at least within the lore of Saw, was originally made for John Kramer's unborn son. Which, why would you give that to a child?
My favorite horror icon is probably Samara from The Ring.
Ooh.
She just
choice.
like embodies, because as a kid I used to be so afraid of strange little girls with long hair covering their faces, including The Grudge. But like, I just feel like Samara like so well encapsulates that. And my runner-up pick is Sam from Trick or Treat,
Ooh, that's
just
a good
because I really like how like Spirit Halloween has like adopted him. Like they love that little guy, and he's everywhere now. And I'm just so happy for him.
The lollipop cycle, I have to say, is I love it.
So
It's
slay.
So slay, literally.
He just wants everyone to love Halloween, and if you don't,
We are considering doing an episode where we compare the original and American remake of the Ring franchise, where I will get very heated because I like Ringu more than I like Ring.
I like The Ring so much. I just love like the Pacific Northwest vibe to it.
I like the 90s Japan vibe from
Okay.
Ringu.
Mm.
It's really just like a battle of the vibes.
I'm gonna be honest. I
Truly.
haven't watched either, so I will be an
We're gonna
impartial
be like-
judge.
We're gonna like have
Sean,
presentations set out.
literally.
It's like, here's
Yeah.
why
Even though
my version's better.
even though the audience at
It's
home
an audio
cannot see
podcast.
cannot
no,
see
Just for me.
just for
for
you,
you.
Okay.
Sean.
yeah.
I appreciate that.
So
Not
you-
even on recording. This
No.
is just
It's
in
just
the
for
studio.
So we have one more question to wrap this up. It's what horror movie do you want to make everyone watch?
You all at home cannot see this, but I'm holding up my notepad and tapping where I wrote down "It Follows." Because, again, I feel like that is just such a great encapsulation of the, to quote our motto at this school, think and do, attitude that can go into horror, how you can make something from nothing with just like a green screen and a dream. You can make something absolutely perfect, in my opinion. So if you want to get into horror, I would suggest It Follows. One, it's not extremely scary. Like, it's not jump scare scary, but it is extremely tense.
And like I would say it is scary.
Yeah.
Like having something constantly following you and not sure how or when it will manifest into your life.
It is another one of those things where it will, kind of like we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, it will have you thinking long after and very paranoid about anybody walking in a straight line.
All right, Natalya, what is your recommendation for everybody?
And I hope I can get you guys to watch this one. I want to make everyone watch Mandy.
Ooh. I'm a big Nicolas Cage fan, so I
It
would
is, in fact,
definitely-
a Nicolas Cage movie,
Which-
but he is so
Yes.
good in it.
He-
And
he
the
can be a good actor when he wants to be. He just doesn't want to be very often.
I think also just like,
He also just has like one really good character, and when you can utilize
what would
that
you
character,
say that one really good character is?
Nicolas Cage, when he is
Yeah.
himself,
Ooh,
in a way,
in the hit video game Dead by Daylight,
Mm.
Nicolas Cage is a character.
Yeah.
And he plays essentially a caricature of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And I would say probably one of my favorite roles of his.
In this movie, he's a recovering alcoholic whose wife is taken from him
Oh, so
tragically.
is it? Oh, taken like her life is taken, or
Yeah.
is it like he's getting her back?
He's getting revenge.
Oh,
And-
okay.
It's awesome. And like that movie has like it's very visually striking. Like
Mhm.
lots of like pinks and purples, even
Yeah.
though like it takes place mostly at night.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And off the walls bonkers violence.
That is what Nicolas Cage does
It's-
best. He goes full throttle.
It's
and I
so
feel like
good.
Mandy is a perfect movie to kind of actually show that off in a good light.
He's amazing in it.
Mm.
When he can scream, it's
He-
a great. It's a great.
He
movie.
screams a
Absolutely.
lot.
Yeah. And I guess that leaves me, unfortunately, I have two recommendations because I couldn't settle on one.
The more the merrier.
I know. My first recommendation to you all would be the classic Night of the Living Dead. Just because it's a good foundational movie to watch. That's kind of like it is one of the only super old horror movies that actually kind of holds up.
I actually haven't seen it.
It attacks a lot of good themes. I mean, in the end, it's very tragic, but it like definitely has a strong commentary on like race relations and sexism, and it's very weird to have that in a movie from like the 60s.
Yeah. It was like one of the progenitors of the horror genre as we know it today.
Yeah, so I can't recommend that enough. And I think the movie that I'm going to make these two watch, that I always recommend to people, and I haven't had the best hit rate, but that's almost why I tell people to watch it. It is the Blair Witch Project.
Woo.
Ooh.
It is such a hit or miss movie for people. Not that it is inherently good or bad. It is just such a stressful movie that if you watch it for too long or too many times, you're just like, when will this end?
We have some very special and perhaps very impractical plans if we do a Blair Witch episode.
So I've never seen the Blair Witch Project,
Yeah.
but I've seen the Scooby-Doo version of it.
I have too.
The Scooby-Doo
There's a
version?
Scooby-Doo version that like Cartoon Network put out.
I can also quote a scene from that from memory.
Which one?
Is it my fault that you wore high heels on a hiking trip? At least I try to look feminine. And then Velma just stands there, gagged.
I would
That
be
is the
too.
that is the only part of that movie that I know about.
Please watch our future episodes for more accurate impressions.
That's so good. Well, I mean, I think that was a pretty effective introduction to all
It was
of
a
us.
fantastic episode.
Yeah.
I hope people made it through. I know that was a thriller. I would say
So
damn
fun.
near a horror movie to listen to. But if you lasted this long, we really hope you tune into us next time. We have a very special movie for you.
We can
For
probably say
episode
what it
1.
is,
We
right?
can, yeah, because
We are
I think
literally
they'll-
gonna go record it now.
if
Yeah.
they've listened to it,
They
if
deserve
they've listened
it.
this far, you guys deserve it.
You got a
Yeah.
treat.
Who would like to say it?
We will be watching, drumroll please. We will be watching The Babadook,
Yay!
a movie that none of us had seen going into it, but
No.
I think we all have some very strong opinions of.
So many thoughts to
Absolutely.
bring.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
So, thank you all so very much for listening. I hope to see you again next time.
on the next episode of Cinemacabre.
Bye
Good night.
bye.
Intro and outro music for this episode is credited to Bashkir Horror Re-Edition 2014 by Valerie and the Greedies and is licensed under an Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike license.